Aloha, everyone. Welcome to our Seasider series for today. We're super excited to have you guys all here. And as always, we'll start by introducing ourselves. So my name is Caden, and I will be on all our Seasider series, and I am a team member here. And then with me today, we have...
Hi, my name is Vinay Juriel, and I'm working as a student manager here, and I'm from India.
Awesome. Yeah, Vinay, my boss.
No.
So we're excited to have you guys here. I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we'll start talking about visa interviews. So we're discussing today. Here we go. All right. Some people to admit. Okay. All right. So, like we said, today we're talking about visa interviews because we know that probably all of you are going to be attending a visa interview sometime within the near future after you receive your documents that we are in the process of sending out currently. And so we want to help you guys get the best chance to pass your visa interview and get approved to come. So we want to help you guys prepare for it.
We are so excited, and thank you so much for coming and joining. And if you have questions, definitely ask in the chat or raise your hand so that we can answer it.
Yeah. So after you receive your document from us, you'll be able to attend your visa interview. And so one of the first things that you want to make sure to do is to pay your visa fee, in order to set up your visa interview. And we have a link that you can use, smjfee.com/I901, the form that you'll need to set up the interview. So that's one of the first things you need to do.
Yeah, and also remember, this is a very important piece too, because when you're traveling or when you're applying for visas, they will ask you for this. And if sometime visa interviewer may not look into it, but when you're traveling into Hawaii, coming here at the airport, at the immigration, if this is not paid, then they may even reject. So this is really important to pay beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And so once you are actually at your interview, the purpose that you're having the interview is for the people working at the consulate to determine that the reason that you're coming to the U.S. is to make sure that you're, coming here for a legitimate reason and that you're not gonna be illegally doing crazy things like that. So that's kind of the overall purpose of it. That's why you're going, so you can get your visa. And the other thing that you'll need for your visa interview before you go in is your DS-160 form, which Vinay can talk about.
Have you? I don't know if any of you have gone through the website, but when you got your DS-2019, you will immediately go to the the state websites and apply for your DS-160. It's not DS-2019; it's a different form altogether, where you will be putting all your information, especially about your program, sponsors, all that information will be added to it. So once that is created, that will give you an appointment date that you will be able to go and visit for an interview. So that's a different than a DS-2019.
Mm-hmm. And the other main thing before you go into your visa interview is that you just want to prepare beforehand for your interview. That's going to give you your best chance for passing the interview. So you're going to want to practice some of the questions that they're going to ask you, and make sure that you have all the right documents, and make sure that those documents are accurate, because if the documents aren't accurate, then they might reject you then. So you want to make sure that they're all correct and accurate before you go in, and that you can answer the questions. And then within the interview, there's not any designated set of questions that they ask in every single interview. So you can't just, find a set list and practice them. but there are generally different related questions that they ask in a lot of interviews. So you can, go through different possible questions that you might face, common questions in the interview that you can, think about how you're going to answer those. And we're going to do a little bit of that today too. We're going to talk about some of the commonly asked visa questions in the interview. All right.
Okay.
So first we'll talk about some of the necessary documents that you need to have for your interview, because like we said, if you don't have the right documents, then it doesn't even really matter what you say for the interview questions. It just will deny.
Yeah, there's one thing to remember. I'm sure that most of you who are return missionaries, they have their own passport. And if the passport is expiring within the 6 months, it's better to have a new passport, because most of the countries are, the US government wants the passport to be valid for more than 6 months before you travel. So if you are one of those, please make sure that you update your passport as soon as possible and send it to us.
And you're also going to make sure that you have your DS-160 document with you, which is the one that we just talked about. And also your DS-2019 or I-20, which is what you'll receive from our office. That'll talk about it just says that you're going to be attending school here. So.
Yeah, and also just remember, if any changes happen, any name changes that you do on your passport, and we have already issued you a DS-2019, make sure that you get it changed, because it is important that you keep it both same. We have seen in past that students, for minor issues, they change their passport, and then we have to completely change everything for the student.
Yep. Additionally, you're going to want to bring with you the receipt of the fee for your visa application to the interview, so they know that you paid for it. And you're also going to want to bring financial documentation with you, because they want to make sure that you can that you'll be financially stable and able to pay to be an international student here in the U.S. So you want to bring that proof of funding. So if you're an iWork student, that means you'll want to bring the financial documents that you'll receive from BYU Hawaii and iWork to talk about the scholarships that you're going to be getting. And additionally, if you're an iWork student, if you have dependents coming with you, then you'll need to bring proof of funding that you can pay for those dependents as well from your own funds.
That's true. Also, another thing, when we're gonna send you a visa document or the DS-2019, we are actually sending you letters from iWork, the admission letter that has been prepared by the admission office. And also with iWork, they have prepared one, just an informational document that shows your tuition, your cost of living, and as well as the amount of scholarships. That's a paper that I'll just bring and show you. That you don't need to take it to the visa interviewer. That's something that that's for your references only. Let me go and bring it, yeah.
Yep. And then while he's getting that, if you're a self-funding student, then obviously you're not going to have, iWork documents to show, but you're going to need to bring some sort of other financial documentation, such as bank records, things from your bank or pay slips, tax returns, things that can prove that you can pay or that your family can pay for the required funds to come to school here. And then on top of so those are pretty important, the financial documents that you're going to want to bring. You're also required to submit a photo for your visa interview, and it's good to have that on hand as well. And there's certain guidelines for the photos that we put a link for. It's at travel.state.gov, or if you just look up visa photo guidelines.
Yeah, so I got the document. This is the document that you're going to receive it. I don't know if you can see it properly, but it has your financial information that's provided by the iWork and other information. Do not take this paper for your visa interview. This is just for your references. So it will have your cost of attendance, and it will have your name and your student ID, and also charges and financial support. So if you see that document that is in 2 columns, do not take that one. That's just for your references. There are 2 columns. Can you see it now? Are you able to see it? Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, some other things that are good to bring to your interview is just to bring your interview confirmation letter. So know that you had a scheduled interview with them. And then sometimes it can be good to bring previous grades or transcripts from university or high school, especially if have gone through IERF or WES.
Yeah, those are the third-party exchange, like the verification. I don't know if you have done it, because BYU Hawaii doesn't do that. You don't need to send your documentations for a verification, but there are certain students that we are unable to evaluate their education based on their grading. So we ask them to send that to IERF, which is a third-party service, and they evaluate your documentation. So it's good to have it, and mostly you would not be required if you have not gone through that process. So make sure you carry your educational certificates.
Mm-hmm. So those are all the documents that you'll want to make sure to bring to your visa interview. Like we said, it's really important to make sure that you have all the right documents and that they're all accurate, because yeah, if you don't have the right documents, then it kind of messes everything else up. All right, and so now we'll just talk about some of the general questions that they might ask in the visa interviews that you can try to prepare yourself for. And so like we said, they don't ask any set list of questions every single time, but they do generally ask certain questions about your study plan, the university that you're going to attend, your academic history. They'll want to know about your financial information as well as what you plan to do after you complete your program, after you graduate. And so we'll go through each of these types of questions. Like we said, one of the first kinds is they'll ask about your study plans, what you're planning to study here in the U.S. And so one common question that you might get asked is, why do you want to go to the U.S. or why do you want to study in the U.S.? And so for this question, probably the best thing you can do is give the honest answer. Why do you want to come to the U.S.? Because hopefully it's for good reasons. And some good things to add in as well, which might be part of your real answers as well, is that you can talk about how the U.S. is a popular location for international students, or how it might give you opportunities for your studies that you might not have in your home country, or maybe how the degree isn't as available in your home country that you're trying to get. You can also discuss how there's many other international students studying in the U.S. that you can connect with and learn new things with, how you can improve your English skills and more things.
Yeah, definitely. Also, because most of you might be coming on iWork program, that's also one of the good reasons to explain to them that how that ties you to come back to your own home country. The reason that the iWork scholarship has been offered, because the church organization wants to build a leadership in the home country.
Mm-hmm. Another question they might ask you about is what are you planning to study? So for this question, you're just going to want to talk about what you're majoring in and why you chose to major in that. So you can talk about why you're interested in it and possible career opportunities that you might get from that major within your home country. And we'll talk about this more a bit later, but you want to, emphasize that you'll use what you learn in your home country, because they want to know that you're not just going to stay in the U.S. forever, since it's a non-immigrant visa. And so, yeah, you can talk about the career opportunities. You can talk about, how you plan to impact the world with what you're going to learn, or how you can help people with it. And one thing to make sure is that what you tell them you're majoring in, make sure that it matches what it says on your DS 2019 or I-20, because we've heard of people before who said they were majoring in something different than what was on there, and then they got denied. So it's important to make sure that it's the same as what it says on there.
And also, if you are unsure right now with your majors, it's better to get that information to us as soon as possible, because the J visas are always designated to a particular scholarship related to your major. So if you have not decided a major, you might be receiving your letter, or you might not receive, or it might be delaying receiving your letter for the DS 2019.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, another question they might ask that's related to your plans in the U.S. and your study plans is they might just ask if you've been to the U.S. before. And for this one, it's pretty simple. You know, just give a answer. Have you been to the U.S.? And if you have, then why have you been here? What did you do? Or if you haven't, then just tell them you haven't. You haven't had the opportunity yet. So those are some of the common questions they might ask in this type of category. Another thing they commonly ask questions about is the university that you're going to be attending. And so they ask about this because they want to make sure that you know about your university and why you're coming to it and everything like that. So they might just ask you what university you're going to attend, which hopefully should be easy for you to answer. Just Brigham Young University, Hawaii. But then after that, they might ask you why you chose to come to Hawaii. And I don't know if you want to talk about
yeah, I think that's very important to know, because this time when you are going to be sitting with or just standing with the visa officers, they really want to know from you. Like, if you do not talk about the university why you chose, it's going to be very hard. Earlier, I was discussing with Kaden, like it's a face-to-face in visa interview. It's not a documented base. So they will really want to hear from you, like that you really know about your university, the program that you're going in. And he mentioned it, like, talk about why it's a good choice for you and your major. Definitely you can talk about the international networking that you will be getting through this program, and how this will help you if there's an international student and program made especially for international students, and this can benefit you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at BYU Hawaii specifically here, we have a very high proportion of international students. The school has a lot of programs and classes specifically for international students. And so, you can tell them about that, how the school is made specifically for that reason, and how, you'll benefit from that. And that's maybe why you chose to come here. They also might ask you about your housing at the university. They want to make sure that you have legitimate housing to come here, because they don't want people just coming and living on the street.
Yeah, with COVID issues, they really want to know the students are entering the United States. They have a housing which is provided by either the school, or you already have got a housing if you have to live off campus for some reasons, so you have that housing approved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you just, like Vinay said, just tell them about what type of housing you're going to get, whether that's in the hallways or in PPA.
I think so. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing they might ask about is your academic history, classes you've taken before, and how you performed in those, because they want to make sure that that you'll be successful while you're studying here in the U.S. So they might base that off of your previous history with classes. So one thing they might ask that has to do with this, they might ask about the schools that you have attended before. So if you've taken university classes before, you can tell them about that and how you performed there, what type of grades you got, and what you got out of that experience. And if you don't have any other university experience, you can also just talk about your high school experience and how that works. They might ask you for what type of grades you got specifically, and if you bring your transcripts, then they might look at that and see that, or you can just tell them if they ask that and you don't have your transcripts, tell them the type of grades that you got.
Yeah, just remember, it is better to be prepared than saying sorry, you don't have a document, because when I was reviewing one of the cases, it says they got a 212G, which is like, oh, the student did not have a sufficient documentation to provide to prove that they are legitimately going to a school. It's very important. You might feel like, oh, it doesn't say in a documentation that you should bring it, but it's always good to have. These are just papers that you're going to be carrying it, and I hope they're not heavy that you will be worried about.
Yeah. They also might ask for test scores that you have, once again, to just prove how well you have done academically, so you can share scores for things like English tests, because like the next question we have on there, they might be interested in your English proficiency. And if you've taken tests like the ACT or the SAT, then you can tell them your score on that as well.
And also, one question that comes in my mind is like, they may ask you, what is the requirement for English of your university? They may ask you. So if you have already passed the test and you have already got accepted, it's better to know what the standard admission guidelines is. That you can tell them, oh yeah, the guidelines is that I should be getting this much score, and I'm already over that, so that's why I was able to get into a school.
Mm-hmm.
Because the English is the only minimum requirement for BYU Hawaii, wherein the other schools they have other requirements like ACT and SAT for international students. But with BYU Hawaii, we are only limiting with the English, so you don't have to worry about ACT and SAT exams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that has to do with the next question that we had on there, where they might just straight up ask you how well your English skills are, how good your English skills are. Sorry, and so like the question before, if you can tell them about your English test scores, and on top of that, you can tell them how you're excited to even improve your English skills further after you arrive in the U.S. And yeah, and just throughout the course of the interview, they'll see how good your English skills are through asking you questions.
And also another thing, you can change, yeah. So another thing is that, like, when they're going to ask you questions, they're not going to ask you why and all that. So you have a really brief answer to each question. Just add on to your details, because they want to hear from you. Just remember that,
Mm-hmm.
They want to hear from you, why you're excited and all that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, for example, when they ask you, what school are you attending, what university, they might, when you tell them BYU Hawaii, they might not ask you, why are you going? But you can go ahead and tell them yourself.
Yeah. Just don't limit yourself with just short answers. Try to explain them. That's the time for you to prove yourself that, yeah, you are the right candidate for this school.
Mm-hmm. Another thing they usually or commonly ask about is questions about your financial information. Like we said, this is for them to make sure that you'll be financially stable while you're here, and that you'll be able to pay for the cost of being an international student, whether that is through your own funds or through a sponsored program, which we have both types of students here at BYU Hawaii.
And also in your letter of DS 2019, you will see two kinds of funding. One is a scholarship and one is a personal funding. And you will see the funding that we are providing right now, it's for 4-year basis. To previous students, we have sent them a yearly basis. So maybe if your brother and sisters or a friend has come to BYU Hawaii, their DS 2019 would be different in financial section than yours. So you have a full 4 years of funding. So it's important for you to know that, okay, what is this scholarship is going to cover? It's not going to cover your books. It's not going to cover your food. It's only going to cover your tuition and housing for single students. So remember that,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that relates to the first question that we have on there. That's how they might ask, how are you planning to finance your education? And so like the first point we have on there is, you want to make sure that you've reviewed the tuition and cost of the upcoming here, so that you can accurately answer the question. So you can know specifically what to answer with. And so if they ask you this question, you can also talk about the financial documents that you provided and show how they cover the costs that will be required. And if you're sponsored by someone, then tell them about who's sponsoring you. Or you can tell them that you're getting sponsored through a scholarship like iWork. So yeah, tell them about how you're planning to pay for your school, and make sure that it's adequate to actually pay for it. And if you are sponsored by an outside sponsor, then they might ask you who your sponsor is, what is their profession, or how much they're contributing. So
and also, especially your relations with your sponsor. That's the one question that I've seen especially for international students self-funding. they want to know your relationship. How well do you know your sponsor? Most of the time, we have seen, companions, uh, family member wants to pay for it, but do you really know them? So that's something you want to explain to them about it too. So talk to your sponsors and get to know them well, so then you can answer about them.
Mm-hmm. And then they also might ask you if you plan on working while you are studying in the U.S. And so probably most of you will be working, we imagine. And so as a student, as an international student under your visa, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours per week during the school year. But an important thing for this and for any financial questions is you shouldn't tell them that you're going to pay for your schooling through working while you're working here, because they won't like that answer.
And also because most of you are an Iowa student, so you shouldn't be paying anything that comes from for your schooling from your work. It's only your books and other things. So you can definitely say that. Just have a very constructive answer that's more acceptable.
Yeah,
so
tell them if you're Iowa, it would be better to tell them that you're paying for it through the scholarship, not through the work, through the scholarship.
And the funds that you're going to be making you're going to use it for your outside activities, the gathering, making, just going out and having some social networking and fun with friends.
Yeah, because they want you to be, focused on your studies and what the reason that you're here. So if they hear that you're going to be focused on working, then they won't like that as much. So you can tell them, that you want to focus on your studies, and if you have the opportunity, you will work as well. But don't tell them that you're going to pay for your schooling through working while you're here. You should already have the funds or the plan for funds. All right, and then finally, another thing they often ask students about is what are their plans for after they complete their program, after they graduate. And so the big thing you want to make sure to do for these types of questions is make sure to prove to them that you plan to return to your home country, because it's a non-immigrant visa that you'll be getting. They don't want to hear that you're planning to stay in the U.S. for a really long time.
That's a common mistake people do. It they talk about when they say, "Hey, what's your post-graduation plan?" Oh yeah, I'm going to do my master's, my post-graduation, my PG diploma, all that thing. That's something you if you have it in mind, you can definitely think about it. But something that right now your focus is to complete your education, get your degree. Those are secondary things, and then going back to your home country and how you're going to fulfill your responsibility as a religious society or whatever the leadership position that you hold in the church. Those things that really matters.
Mm-hmm. And so one question they might ask you is they might just straight up ask you, do you plan to return to your home country after you complete your program? And so like we said, when you're answering this question and similar types of questions, make sure to prove that you have strong ties to your home country and that you plan to return. So you can, in order to do this, you can talk about how you maybe have close family members or relationships back home that you want to return to. You can maybe, if you're planning to do some type of business back home, then you can talk about that. Or any plans that would bring you back home, you can mention. You can also talk about how you plan to use your degree back at home. That can help you with that question as well.
And I think sometimes they may not ask you this question, but make sure that in your interview, you bring that point somewhere, during your interview, so that they hear that word that you're coming back to your home country.
Mm-hmm. They also might ask you about, any connections or close friends or family that you have in the U.S. And, for this, you don't want to lie. So, just be honest about any relationships that you might have with anyone in the U.S. But obviously, you don't want to make, if you do have relationships, don't make them seem don't over-exaggerate them, because then they might think you want to stay. But do be honest about relationships that you have.
Yeah, also remember, nowadays in an application, they're asking about your social accounts, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, whatever accounts that you hold, because you're coming to the United States. They want to know about you. So they may not do a ref check, but if they find out that you're not saying it truth, it could cause a problem.
Yep. And then they also might ask you if you have any jobs or careers that you want to do after you graduate. And so for this, if you do have job or career that you want to do, then tell them about that. And, specify that you want to do that career like in your home country, once again, to prove that you're going to leave the U.S. after you complete your program and go back to your home country. All right, so those are kind of all the guidelines that we have for the questions and documents for visa interviews. And so like we said, really the best way to prepare, is just to practice. So think about some of those questions that you might get asked and how you might respond to those questions. What we mentioned about how you want to prove to them that you're returning to your home country, that you know about the university that you're coming to, that you're passionate about your major and things like that. So we have some time to answer some questions as well. So we'll just start from from the beginning. So let's see, we have one question. In the Philippines, we are required to have a document from you in order for us to have the sticker called PDOS. Will you be able to send it together with our packet?
So that's a really good question. For the last semester, we did send it through email to our students. And thank you for bringing this point out. We will go ahead and get that document for all the Philippine students. And we will either send it through a mail that you're going to receive it, or if not, we'll send it through email. So you will definitely get this document.
This one, I don't know if that's clear.
Okay, so means, okay, Wilmer asked about, need to worry about financial document because we just show the document from iWork. Yes, so definitely yes. So remember in your DS 2019, there are two financials I mentioned earlier. One is your iWork scholarship and another one is your personal funding, which is your family contribution. So in your family contribution, there will be an amount which will be kept in your personal funds. If you have that much amount in your account, definitely take that as a statement from your parents or somebody that you feel like will be helping you pay your family contribution. Keep that one in. If you do not have that one, and then you can definitely tell them that because it's a 4 years gradual payment, you do not have to keep that funds in your account right now. So you can definitely send that, okay, 2,400 or 4,000, whatever amount it is, you don't have to pay at the moment. So it's 4 years, and it's also semester-based payment. So you don't have to pay right now. So you can talk about that one, yeah.
Another question, when do you start sending the packet? Any specific dates we can expect to receive them? And so we talked about this on Monday as well, but we started sending out the packets yesterday, actually. So, and we're just going to continue sending them out each day, but we have a lot of packets to send out, so we can't cover everyone the first day or two. So you can expect to receive them within the next, 2 or 3 weeks. When we should have all of them done. And once it is sent out to you, we'll email you. If you have an I-20, we'll email you directly the I-20. If you're getting a DS 2019, we'll email you a tracking number for the packet.
Okay. On a DS 160 form, it's asked U.S. Social Security number. It will be in the packet. No. So you don't get a Social Security number in the package. Once you come here and you apply for a job, that's the only time you will be offered, like you would be able to apply for a Social Security number. If you're not planning to work in the United States, then you do not get a Social Security. It's only when you're going to be applying for a job, then you can apply for Social Security. And national identification number, again, the same. You do not have to put that information. You do not have any identification number.
As an iWork student, who will be our sponsor? Is it iWork?
Oh, so you can definitely talk about that. Brigham Young University, Hawaii would be sponsoring you So I just tell them that I'm getting scholarship from a school. And what is iWork? Remember, you need to know what is iWork is. Because if they ask you, what is iWork? We don't understand it. So then you can talk about that iWork stands for International Work Opportunity Return Juliana, you know? So what does that mean is that you're taking this scholarship that you want to come here to United States, get your degree and return back to serve your country. That's very important. Remember the iWork full form.
Next one, I got told that iWork will pay for the visa application fee. Is that right?
Okay. So if you got an email from an iWork office, it could be based on your scholarship that you offered. Certain student has been selected for certain fee that will be paid by iWork. If you're one of those, I would recommend you to contact iWork directly. It's not for all students. So there are very few who get selected for certain scholarships. And if you are one of them, then congratulations.
Do we need to bring a new certificate of deposit from the bank to the visa interview?
So is it for your interview for visa appointment? You don't have to bring anything when you're coming to United States. If it's for visa interview, yes, take your latest bank statement, at least 3 months bank statement that shows the proof of funds. If it's for self-funding students, and if it's for iWork, I would not be worried so much about it because mostly your education is funded by scholarship. But remember, you also contribute your financial or your family contribution. If you have that much fund, keep it with you. You know, just tell them that, okay, yes, I agree to pay this much amount of money every semester, and this is the proof of that.
Your question: how long do we have to go back to our home country? So after graduation. Yeah.
So you go back to your home country. Some students could stay back and do their academic trainings or OPT, ATs, we call them, you know, internships. But going back, if it's an iWork related question, like because iWork was requesting that you go back to stay in your country for at least 4 years, then the loan would be waived off for you. That was before spring semester. Again, the iWork scholarship is always offered to students who is willing to go back to their home country. So yeah, go through iWork website that has more information on that. What is your rules and your responsibilities as a scholarship student?
Mm-hmm. And if you do get the visa, sometimes on visas they put return requirements where you have to return to your home country, under the law.
Yeah.
But it just depends on the visa. Some people they put it on there, some people they don't.
Yeah. So every student would have that 212B requirement, and which will say either you are required to go back to your home country for 2 years, or either you're not required. So it all depends on the visa officers, and your major.
But when you're answering the questions, it's probably best to just make to make it seem like you're just planning to return to your country for a long time.
And I hope you are, right?
Yeah. For many years. Let's see. I didn't receive any mails from you. I wasn't aware about the meeting. One of my friends told me about it.
Oh.
About the meeting today.
Yeah.
Oh.
We would look into. Can you send us your email address on the chat?
Yeah, direct messages.
Yeah, yeah. So we go.
Not to everyone.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and look into it. Why we don't have your email address? Maybe if you're a newly admitted student, because they are constantly admitting students. So that's one reason we have a delay in processing. Is because we have to keep updating our systems with new admits that are happening right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
What if I wanted to move to another country rather than coming back to my own one? Can I tell them that with good reasons?
So that's 4 years after plans that you have. In 4 years, things change. If it's your long-term plan, I don't know. That's something you have to judge yourself and see. But with the iWork requirement, you can stay in the United States and Canada. those are 2 countries. But if you want to move to any other country, Australia, New Zealand, or if you're from that, but you want to move to different countries, definitely they have no regulations on it. So that's something you have to think about it and see if that's going to be helpful for you or not.
Yeah, it's probably better than telling them you want to stay in the U.S. for a really long time because they know at least you're planning to
Yeah.
leave. But I don't know. Yeah, as good as just telling them about your home country.
Yeah, you can say it because your plans are to move out of the United States, which could be a benefit.
Yeah.
It could go in your benefits too. Yeah. So.
Is it a good thing to tell them that we'll be working while in the U.S. under the hour program? And also, a friend in the university told me that I will need to pay for the visa fee, a separate fee from the visa fee. So the first question, is it good to tell them that we'll be working while in the U.S. under the hour program?
Yeah, so remember, Kaden said that you will get an opportunity to work, and he mentioned that it's always, you can say that it's a privilege that I will be able to work for 19 hours or 20 hours, and it's okay. As a student, they understand that, they know this, that all international students, it's legally that you are allowed to work. So it's no harm in saying that yes, my school offers me a 19 hours work within the campus or in Polynesian Culture Center, because our scholarship is, mostly comes from Polynesian Culture Center too. You can mention that, there's no problem at all, but focusing that my main focus would be on studying and not on working. Yeah. Second, you had said your friend told you that you will have to pay service. Yes, the service fee is different than a visa fee. So service is the fee that you have to pay for your DS 2019 or I-20. When you receive your DS 2019 or I-20, on the right hand side or the top, you will see an N number, which will be N00. Starts with N00. That's the number that you're going to use to pay for your service fee. And for your visa fee, you're going to go and pay for your DS 160 website. So remember on the first slide, we showed two of the links. I'm going to go back and show. So that's the website that we talked about. So yeah, right there. So this is for your service fee, and this is for your visa fee. So there are two different sites that you have to pay. So both are around $200+. So remember that you might have to pay around $450, something like that. Is that okay? And so we'll receive a visa document email first. No, so it's only if you are an international student with self-funding. Only self-funding students are able to receive their I-20s through emails. That's a guideline set by the US government. With the J visas, we cannot issue any letter. We cannot give you any service number for your visa appointments. That something has to be mailed to you.
Is there a priority for us to send the visa documents? I work in deferred students will be the first group.
That's a good question. As of right now, we have already completed the process and we are still continuing. We are waiting for a second review, because once our team, as a student team, does the paperwork, it goes to the advisors. So advisors are not like, they're not just doing this job. They have other things to take care as well. So they have that's why we have to reduce our work timings from 9 to 3. We want to send this document as soon as possible. So again, it's not preferences based. It's not going to be who was admitted first. It's something that we have worked together, and whenever the advisors go and look into it, we will ship it. So yeah, it's not going to be with the question that you have. Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. Wait. Is it okay? Oh, well, we have a recorded version of the meeting. So yeah, in the past we have uploaded recordings of our sessions to YouTube. So we might do that. There's a good chance we'll upload it, and it would be on the main BYU Hawaii YouTube page. And also, if not, then you can also email us and ask us for a recording, and we'll be more than happy to share it with you.
So Leo Chang said that within the 2 to 3 weeks, should I book an appointment if I got an email? And so So if you are an like if you're a self-funding student, you will get it through an email within the 2 to 3 weeks. Definitely, then you can go ahead and make an appointment. Don't make an appointment now. Definitely, you cannot make appointments because until and unless you have your service ID number, you can't. The second is if you are a iWork student, within the 2 to 3 weeks, the mail should say that you will get a tracking number, not your document. We are still processing the documentation, so you may receive, if you're getting tracking numbers from tomorrow on, like, and also another thing that we discussed, it's Tuesday and Thursday. Those are the 2 days that we are shipping out our documents now. So wait for Tuesday and Thursday. If you receive an email with the tracking number, definitely you can go ahead and start preparing your visa application. Once you get your document, you can pay the fee.
Next question. I renewed my passport this October and I'll be receiving it 2 weeks from now. I've already sent in my old existing passport to ISS. Will I need to send a copy of the new one? And will the sent document and packet be affected by the new passport?
Yeah, so this one, please send us email right away with the new passport so then we don't send your DS 2019 with the old information. If you made any changes, let us know through an email so we can update that on our system. Wow, we have more questions.
That's a lot of questions.
Okay, great.
I don't think, so we have like 13 minutes left. Well, yeah, we have to end the meeting then. So if we don't cover all the questions, just feel free to email us after with any questions you might have. We'll try to respond. And then we'll also have another session on Friday that you can join as well. So then the other question is, do you send the package by Hawaiian Airlines to Tahiti or by a different?
No, so we send it through DHL and we don't know which airlines they use it. So it goes through DHL.
Yeah, that's the shipping service.
Yeah, shipping service. Yeah. If you don't ask, if they ask what basis did you get scholarship, yeah, definitely you can talk about your religious background for scholarships. You can say that I'm a original missionary, or I have joined the church for a long time, or I was offered this scholarship because I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So there are so many reasons that you can mention about it, why you were offered. Again, you can talk about that because I'm from this particular location. The Brigham Young University of Hawaii offers scholarship for all eligible students, and I'm very lucky to be one of the eligible students to get a scholarship.
In the past, were there any students who got denied by the embassy even though they were accepted to the IWork program?
Yes, many. So make sure that you speak. It's very important. If many students got IWork scholarship doesn't mean that you get a visa. It's just a scholarship that allows you to come to United States, come to Brigham Young University and study. Your visa acceptance and denial is all based on your interaction with the visa officer. If you do not talk, you do not explain. I have seen students who just got few questions, but they gave one sentence answers. They never elaborated on things. Definitely, they're not going to, let you go in. They want to know more about you. As in the beginning, I mentioned that it's a face-to-face. It's an interaction-based visa that you will get it. Okay, great. We got some. I think that's all, I guess. Okay, we'll go. We can do it later.
Another one, could we get the meeting recording? Yeah, like we mentioned, we'll either post it or if it's not posted within like the next week or two, then email us and we can send you the recording.
Not sure what is the email. No, that's not.
My other question is, my FEVIS and IPF fee has been paid. However, I need a receipt of these fees for my visa application. How can I get it?
Yeah, so email to, if it's been paid by BYU Hawaii, as I mentioned earlier, there are certain students who have got scholarships. You can email financial services. They can send you receipts for that.
Another one, I'm planning to visit my friend in California right before the semester starts. Should I enter the immigration with the F1 visa or a visitor visa?
Remember, you have 30 days to enter into the United States before your program starts. So if you have a visa, student visa, and you don't have longer plans to stay there, I would recommend you just enter with the student visa. If not, then you would have to, because it's going to be very complicated, because when you enter, your entering stamp would be different. What matters is when you enter into United States, they give you a document called I-94 that shows the status that you enter as a student, but as a tourist or as a business, whatever, it shows that on a system. So if you're planning to come, you can come within the 30 days, and then I would recommend student visa would be the best. I hope that answers the question. If you're coming before the 30 days, you might have to exit and enter. I don't know. This one is really hard. You might have to consult with the immigration lawyer.
Nice. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're getting some people sending us their emails who didn't get the email about this meeting, so I'm just gonna put those down for a second.
And I can, let's see if there's any other questions. And definitely, if you want to ask some questions through, you can ask, while he's doing that, and I can answer those questions, because I might not be able to read chat.
Let's see. Recording, yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to give you the chat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 1 second.
Let me go through a question if there's any questions. Okay, so it says my major is full while I was being reading since I must change it before receiving a packet. What do you want? No, so we can't change your major. It has to be done by your academic advisor, because what happens when we create your visa document, we go through a system that is used by academic advising. So we go and check that. It's called STALIC. I hope you, like those who are already an existing students would know this, but those who are new students, they will put that information on that platform, and then we will pick that information from there, and then we will add that. And also another thing, you might have added that on your application too. If you are planning to change, definitely, if you have not been accepted or you have not taken any programs yet, then yes, you can just email us. We will go ahead and help you in changing that on the document. But if you have already taken classes with BYU Hawaii in previous semesters, then you have to work with your academic advising. If you are a new student, never taken a class, email us, we will help you.
About documents, I reckon it's easier if I can get an email and just print it out. I don't know, maybe. So yeah, we don't, if you're getting a DS 2019, we don't send it through the mail just because we choose to. It's a federal regulation, so we're not allowed to send it through email. So we do it would be a lot easier if we could email it to you, but we're just not allowed to, so we can't. But if you're getting a I-20, then you will get the one said, for a few documents which can't be displayed in papers, are we allowed to show them on our devices?
What are those documents that you're talking about? If you can explain that, that would be helpful. Okay, let's go back to another question while there's an answer.
Could you please clarify on those who had received an email about the service fee being paid for?
Okay, so if you have received an email for service fee has been paid, definitely talk to iWork. That's a department I would be able to send you a receipt. Once you have a receipt, then that for sure that has been paid. If you don't get a receipt, then it's not been paid.
For transcripts of records, I submitted my transcript through IERF. Will this document be cited copy not for official use? Will it be valid once I present it during my visa?
Yeah, if you have done IERF, you should have a student copy that would be mailed to you. So you carry that copy. That should be with you. If you don't have a copy, you can request for a copy. It's not an important, like it's not a necessary document. You can still carry your, the copy that they have given to you. So it should be okay.
The question. I have a dependent going with me. He is not a student. When will be the last chance that we can pay the deposit in order for us to be on time in Hawaii?
So we are looking for deposit to be paid before we issue a document. So if you do not pay your IPF, which is an international processing fee, if you do not pay your dependent deposit, you are not likely to get a document unless you pay. The delay you create, like the more you delay, the more delay is going to happen from our side. So if you haven't paid your IPF, please go ahead and pay. It's very important. And your deposit, dependent fees too.
So yeah, as soon as possible. Do I need to get an ESTA visa to enter France to get my visa?
Yeah. So if any country requires you to enter, if you're a French Polynesian, I'm not sure if you're allowed to travel within France. I think the best thing is if you have a friend who came through France, ask them about it, because what I know is that if you have to travel and you're traveling to a different country, then those countries require you to have a visa, and definitely you need to have a visa. There are certain countries that they say, oh yeah, it's on arrival visa. If it's an on arrival visa, it's okay. Yeah, you can get that when you are there. But certain countries, they require you to go through a process to get a visa. So yeah, if your country falls into an on arrival visa in France, then you don't need to get a visa because you will get one once you arrive there.
Oh, this is the one who was talking about documents on your device. You can show them. Can you show them documents like admittance letter, financial documents?
So if you're an iWork student, if you're a self-funding student, you need to print them color copies and take them to the officer. You're not allowed to take your phones. Remember that. You're not going to take any device. So when you stand there, you're going to just have your documents, folders in hand. Don't think about that. Oh, I'm going to show my phone, my email. I will ask them to check. Can they check my email and show that document? No, that's not. They don't have that much time. Remember, any documents that you have received, take a printout. Better to take a color printout. It's very important. So yeah.
So this time the department will not send the visa packet via email. If it's DS 2019, yes, it will not be email. It will be in the physical mail.
Can you please send the packet to this address? Which address? So send us to, if you have changed your addresses, please send us an email stating that you want a particular address to be sent, So if you do not send, we're going to go through your application. We're going to see the mailing address there, and we're going to send that to the application address.
All right.
Good. I think that's not the only question.
I think that's all the questions, and that's like perfect timing because we're just about out of time. So we hope that this session was helpful for you guys, and we're super glad that you guys all came, and we wish you the best of luck with your visa interviews. And we're excited to have you guys on campus soon. We're having another session on Friday where we're doing a tour of campus online to show you guys around. So be sure to join then, same time, 4 o'clock. So yeah, mahalo and aloha, guys.
Thank you guys for coming. Have a wonderful